What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. I got a public service announcement for my guys, right? Don't date down. Now, I know with some guys that's still trying to get it together and trying to figure it out. That's okay. You're going to figure it out. And I've already had conversations with you guys about how you vet for women based off of where you're going. Meaning that a lot of guys, they vet women based off of where they're at. And women too. So you can apply this, if the shoe fits where it, apply it to your life as you see fit, right? But they date or they look to vet for a person based off of how they feel at that moment. If you were in high school, do you have a different disposition towards people and relationships based off of when you were in your 20s? If you in your 20s, do you think that you're going to be in a different space when you were in your 30s? What about when you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s? Because ultimately the goal, if you're deciding that you want to get married, and most people, contrary to popular belief, do want to get married, the goal is not to get divorced, right? Because if you got married knowing that you was going to get divorced, then you probably wouldn't get married in the first place, right? So when we take that into consideration, you also have to take into consideration that you need to vet for where you're going instead of for where you're currently at. That's A, right? But also on top of that, I think women have been programmed and largely understand that they don't need to date down, which is one of the reasons they having such a hard time with this conversation about being 50-50. I'll even take it a step further. It's a lot of guys that proclaim that they are successfully married, and they're trying to give you advice based off of the idea that they do everything, yet the black community as a whole continue to be behind the 8 ball as far as being in last place for how we are supposed to operate with our children, our income, and so on and so forth. Everything else falls under that. Spirituality, culture, the things that we embrace the most is trash. How come we are still in last place, yet we still have a lot of opinion of how it is that we're supposed to be operating when it comes to being in a successful marriage or relationship? Because other successful cultures, let me say that, other successful cultures don't even consider being in a relationship. That just doesn't exist. Right? It's a business just as much as it is a relationship. And that's why it's called a merging of the family in order to establish how the children are supposed to operate when they grow up. What if I told you that when I was in Miami, one of the things that we did and one of the reasons why we love to go down to Miami is because I'm able to meet one of my colleagues that I actually work for. So they're one of the people that's above me, and we get an opportunity to actually visit and have dinner at their Miami home. Now, at this Miami home, they do have small children. So their children is actually younger than my daughter. Not by much, but it's okay. Leslie knows how to play and kick it. And what if I also told you that she makes just as much, if not probably more, than her husband, but then at the same time, combined together, they make over $400,000 a year? What if I also told you that she's still feminine, friendly, awesome? Let me add one more caveat to that. It's an Indian couple. If you look at the median household income, the people that are at the top of the totem pole, Indians, Pakistani, Asians, which include Japanese and Chinese, so on and so forth. It's not even white people. Obviously, we know Hispanics is below white people and then black people is at the top, at the bottom of the list. But think about this for a minute. They don't date down. They don't even date. They don't marry down. They don't operate in a space where the woman is not supposed to work. As a matter of fact, they advocate for their women to work and to make a whole lot of money so that they can bring the resources into the household and they can build businesses. They can have successful families. They take over entire neighborhoods. Over here in Novi, Michigan, in Oakland County, which is one of the richest counties, not only in Michigan, but also across the United States of America, they thrive in entire neighborhoods. You can drive down entire streets, and it's nothing but these people that are taking over these entire big old houses and neighborhoods, and they build them out and they continue to thrive. And they have a woman that's going to work, and they have a man that's going to work, and they figure it out, and she's still operating in her femininity. And when we went over there, they cooked for us and, you know, all of that stuff. And I don't understand where we got that from, where a woman is not supposed to work. Women have worked since the beginning of time, just the type of work that they do, considering that they now have the option to choose for themselves what careers that they have. But they've always worked very diligently as far as to make sure that they contribute into the household. Yet we still have these conversations about whether or not she's supposed to go 50-50 or whether or not he's supposed to go 100 and you going 0. No, I want 100 for it from you. And the problem is that you keep dating down. Now, that does not mean that you're supposed to date a woman that feels like a man is supposed to be on her level or more, because that just means she got a bad attitude and she don't have the disposition to actually still fall under her husband's vision and covering so that they can actually win together. But my point is this: stop taking a chick that work at McDonald's just because you think she got some humility to her. Stop taking the chicks that think that they Instagram models just because they look good. Stop vetting for women that you think is going to get the best head or the best box just because she look good and she don't do nothing for a living and she out here finessing men. There's women out here literally teaching classes on how to finesse you out of your socks, and you going for it, thinking that it makes sense just because she looks halfway decent. And some of these chicks don't even look halfway decent. Some of them is built like football players. You can have your cake and eat it too. And it don't matter what type of woman that you get with. It don't matter what her race is. It don't matter what color she is. It don't matter what her national. It don't matter if she Asian or black woman or white woman. None of that matters. I don't care about that. Listen, y'all can go and argue with Dr. Umar Johnson with that. What I'm saying is, you don't have to be a simp. You don't have to date down. And the cultures that are at the top enable their women to go and bring in resources. And I'm talking about at the top in the United States of America. I'm not talking about in the top in their country. I'm talking about when they're here, their culture here is that the woman can still work, bring in resources, and have the top median income, which is over 6 figures combined on average. This is not even like the top people. This is the average within their culture. If you go and look at the census data, it will tell you that the average median income based off of which demographic and group and how they identify as far as their ethnicity, and it'll break it down for you. And then if you start looking at their cultural norms and what they do for a living and listen, information technology, they are program managers, analysts, getting government contracts. They are engineers, they are doctors, lawyers, and the woman go out there and she work her butt off, and the man go out there and he work his butt off, and they provide a safe space for their children and then carry on the same traditions and not adopt this Western culture that ultimately will ruin whatever it is that you're standing on as far as your family and your relationships. You don't have to date down. You can have a woman that is going out there grinding and getting it, and it doesn't mean that she's supposed to turn off her femininity just because she come in the household and she bring in resources. No, a wife is still a wife, a husband is still a husband, and you are one, meaning that what I do affect you and what you do affect me. You are not here to live the soft life. You are here to contribute resources into the household in every way, shape, and form. In the same way that you want me to participate as a father is the same way that you're supposed to be participating as a contributor into the household. And your talent is your talent. We're going to utilize it effectively, and we're going to get that bag. Stop thinking that just because she living this soft life or something like that brings some kind of peace. And man, y'all need real examples, real data, real statistics, and stop listening to these people that cannot give you or punch themselves out of a wet paper bag as far as what their relationship is supposed to look like. That's not normal. Look at the people that's winning and make adjustments accordingly. It's not white people. It's not black people. It's not Hispanic people. If you want to talk about how they're supposed to operate as far as being successful, and they don't get divorced, as far as being successfully married, as far as bringing in resources, and how you vet effectively, and they don't even date, you need to start looking at other cultural norms and making the adjustments accordingly. I'm curious as to what y'all think. Let me know what you think inside of the comments. I love you. I appreciate you. I can't wait to expound on this a little bit more on this channel, the Anton Daniels channel, tomorrow on Wednesday night, because it's going to be a fun conversation. I love you. I appreciate you. Tap in at after hours tonight.